Hey folks, what's up? This is Adam here, aka Cena Guy. Back on the movie vault, got a little bit of free time, so I'm doing another movie review. I know many of you expected me to review Batman Returns, because my previous review, I did a movie review on Tim Burton's Batman, the original film, which starred Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, and love those movies, and I know people are really expecting me to do like a review of the sequel after those, and it will come on in good time, but I'm just in the mood right now to review another Disney movie. On this channel I've only got one Disney review, and that was on Pinocchio, and I'm in the mood to review another Disney film which I personally love. Okay, I had this on VHS when I was a kid, and I remember going to the cinema to see this for the very first time, and I friggin' loved it. After when I saw it at the cinema, everyone in the cinema just gave a round of applause to the movie, just when the credits started to roll. Everybody loved it, and it's such a massive hit, it made a fortune. I said to my mum at the time who was watching it with me, God bless her soul, I said, Mum, can I have The Lion King? And of course, when it was available on VHS, she brought it for me. And again, it was one of those Disney films that I just constantly wore out the tape because I just loved it that friggin' much. Fantastic film. I loved it back then, and I've just watched it again moments ago, and it still holds a candle to my heart. The film, everything works in it. It's not a long film, okay? It didn't make it too long, but again, everything from A to Z in this movie just seemed perfect. I mean, the storytelling of the plot, the whole thing about the younger brother of the king getting jealous because he wants to be the king, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to his evilness to try and make sure he's going to be the future king by setting up a trap to kill Mufasa, and then sending these hyenas out to kill Simba, who's going to be the future king. He wants everybody out the way so he can rule Pride Rock, basically, to his own jealousy and greed. So the plots are great. I think the voice actors did a fantastic job in this film. I mean, Nathan Lane, who the voice of Timon, he was in Mouse Hunt, and so was the actor who did the voice for the warthog, Pumbaa. He was in the Mouse Hunt as well. He played the guy in the in that building where they kept all the cats, and he was in that protective suit. So it was nice to see Timon and Pumbaa in human form, like in the same movie. You know what I mean? But I like Nathan Lane. I also like Rowan Atkinson, who did the voice of the Dodo, Zazu. I did not know that was Rowan Atkinson until later on, and love Rowan Atkinson. He's a great British actor, all known for Mr. Bean, Blackadder, and for those of you who are from the UK, you know what I'm talking about. He's a very popular British comedian. Okay, now, people complained a bit about the actor who did the voice of the grown-up Simba, and if you want to know why, please look it up. It'll tell you on Wikipedia. I don't really want to get into too much about why people don't like the guy, but apparently it was all because of a car crash where he went in the wrong lane and some people lost their lives. Caused a bit of controversy. People say he shouldn't be the voice of grown-up Simba and all that shit, but I don't want to get into it. I just want to remember things how I want to remember them. I thought he did a good job as an actor playing the voice of the grown-up Simba. Again, they all seem to be... You can tell they all enjoyed their roles, being the voice actors for these amazing characters, and they are lovable characters. Simba's adorable when he's a cub, the annoying Dodo, Zazu. You got the hilarious Timon and Pumbaa, who are hilarious characters. Hakuna Matata. That's another good thing about this movie. The songs are just so catchy, because the film opens up with the circle of life, where all the ants, the zebras, and the ants, the zebras, and all the other animals in the animal kingdom are gathering around in Pride Rock to see the future king for the first time. Mafriki, the baboon, holds up the Lion King cub, the future king, and all the animals are praising all around him. That's when it opens up with the circle of life. I love the song Can't Wait to Be a King. That's when Simba's a little bit older with his friend Nala, and he's looking forward to being the future king. Again, surrounded by all the animals, the animal kingdom joining in with the song. I love Be Prepared, which is Scar's song. The song where he is plotting to kill Mufasa and Simba, and him and the hyenas are joining in. Fantastic songs. We get a fun song, Hakuna Matata, That's the scene where Simba has run away from the Pride Lands and he meets up with Timon and Pumbaa, who change his life around, making him more laid back about life is not about worries or anything like that. It's about enjoying life, having a good time. You know, that's a scene where Cena runs away from the scene of his father's death to get away from the hyenas, you know, and he finds himself a new life, making friends with Timon and Pumbaa out in the wild, you know, eating bugs and basically doing loads of fun things, because I say life's all about fun. Hakuna Matata stood for no worries, you know. We get the romance scene between Nala and Simba, fully grown up. Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Elton John song. You know, so there's a romance song, there's a fun song, there's a suspense song, there's a nice heartwarming song, The Circle of Life. You know, and again, there's just so many songs that were catchy in this movie. Even that scene where Timon and Pumbaa are looking for breakfast and Timon singing The Lion Sleeps Tonight, you know. So there's some good heartwarming songs in this. Some that were fun, some that were intense, and some that were just, you know, really catchy. But again, the plot is just so simple about this movie. You got the Pride Lands, Pride Rock. Mufasa is the king, you know. He's just had a son called Simba, you know. And basically he's trying to guide Simba in the right direction to make him be a good king someday. He talks about the Pride Lands. It's like that scene where they're walking through the, you know, the Pride Lands, saying, when we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass, so we're all connected. So he's like doing a good job as a father, like trying to send out positive messages to Simba. You know, there's a scene where he gets very protective because Simba goes beyond the borders of the Pride Land, you know, the elephant graveyard, where he gets attacked by the hyenas. You know, he does his job as a father, trying to protect Simba. But even that scene was really good, you know, where he's trying to educate Simba. The fact is, you could have been killed, you put Nala in danger. He was angry with Simba, but at the same time, he was just being really protective and trying to be a great father. He was trying to make Simba aware of how important he is to the future, you know, and trying to tell him what he did wrong in a nice way, basically. And again, he sent out a good message saying, look at the stars, you know, the great kings of the past look down on us from them stars, you know. So he's trying to give out good messages to Simba. So he's trying to be a serious father, a good father, a lovable father. Basically, he's just doing everything he can to be the perfect father to Simba, so he's grown up to be this great king someday. While all this is happening, Scar, who's Mufasa's younger brother, is jealous. He wants to be the king of the Pride Lands, so now he's plotting different ways how we can get rid of the present king, Mufasa, and Simba, so he can take over, along with his hyenas, to destroy the Pride Lands, basically. You know, there's a scene where after they sing "Be Prepared," Scar sets up a scene where the stampede takes place. You know, when the wildebeests, you know, do the chase. That scene was really intense. You know, I remember as a kid just wondering what was happening, and you know, the wildebeests are running through. Simba's trying to hold onto the tree. Mufasa tries to save him, and that's when Scar pushes Mufasa to his death as he falls off the cliff. You know, and Scar tries to make out to Simba that if it wasn't for him, he'd still be alive. So he's trying to make him feel responsible for his father's death. He says, "Run away, never return." Simba does just that. You know, he runs away, and the hyenas make an attempt to kill him, but they don't succeed. And basically, Scar's now under the impression that Simba and Mufasa are dead, and that he should be the rightful king, and that it's his time to take over the Pride Lands and rule Pride Rock, basically. Unaware that Simba is still alive, but he's living outside the Pride Lands in the wild with Timon and Pumbaa, and he's just not aware that Simba's still alive, basically, not towards like the end sequence of the film. You know, but that scene was very sad, you know, where he's with his father, he's died, and Simba's crying. You know, a very emotional scene. So the film's fantastic in ways of being fun, being emotional, being sad. The film had a mixture of everything. And that's what's so great about these old Disney films. They had the full package. You know, the full package of the scenes of being intense, being funny, being great, and they don't go overboard with it. They just do it just nicely so it all fits in, you know, so the viewers can enjoy what's going on. You know, dark in terms of dark elements, yeah, like Scar pushing Mufasa to his death. You know, that's a dark element. I wouldn't say it's one of the darkest Disney films, but it does have its scenes where you think, "Fuck, what's going on?" You know what I mean? Mainly that scene of Mufasa's death. That was like a really intense scene. Okay. Halfway through the movie, Nala's growing up and she's looking for food. She chases after Pumbaa, which was a hilarious scene. Simba and Nala meet up, and Nala informs Simba that Scar took over the Pride Lands and destroyed everything. You know, and she informs Simba that with him being alive, he's the rightful king, and he needs to go back to Pride Rock to fix everything. Take his place as the rightful king and save all the animals' lives, basically, because the Pride Lands are being destroyed by the hyenas. There's a scene where he's with Mafriki. Mafriki is trying to teach Simba an important lesson that his father's life still lives within him and he needs to do the right thing. That scene was pretty intense, when Mufasa's a ghost in the sky, saying, "Remember who you are my son, the rightful king." And Simba finally does the right thing. He decides to face his past and basically go back to Pride Rock to try and fix everything. He wants to do the right thing. Despite him running from his past for such a long time and becoming this new lion, he wants to go and do things right. When Simba returns, obviously the place is surrounded by hyenas, the Pride Lands are destroyed, there's no food, no water, everyone's starving because of Scar's horrendous job of taking over. The fight scene was intense yet funny because we get a scene where Mafriki is fighting the hyenas, Timon and Pumbaa are fighting the hyenas. That's the funny scene, but the scene does get serious when Scar and Simba are fighting. Scar falls off Pride Rock, and in the end, the hyenas turn on him and they kill him. And basically, it's a happy ending towards the end of the film because Simba is now the king. He's with Nala, and they have a couple of cubs together, and the film ends very peacefully and happily, basically. And Pride Rock's saved yet again. So everything that I've just explained, I know the film off by heart. I've seen it that many times. I mean, like I said, I was addicted to the film, when it first came out in the cinema. Got it on VHS. I really need to buy it now, like on Blu-ray or 4K, because I've got to start collecting my Disney films again. The Disney films which meant to me a lot in my childhood. And need to start my collection all over again, just with the main Disney films that I like, mainly the ones from the 90s, because this one came out in the year of 1994, I believe. I'm just looking it up. Yeah, June 15th of 1994. And get this, at the box office, it made $968.5 million at the box office, starting off with a budget of $45 million. That's fucking impressive. And again, a lot of Disney fans say it's definitely got to be in the top 10 best Disney films ever made. I find that hard to believe. I mean, now, before anyone asks, I've not seen the remake. I've not seen the remake. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, personally, would I like to see the remake? I don't know. Because I'm too used to the animated. And basically, people are saying you've just seen the whole thing again, with the same story, the same lines, but only it's like in different viewing format, you know what I mean? And many people say, why would you want to watch that when you've got the great animated series that was made in 1994? The one we grew up with, the one that's close to our hearts, you know what I mean? It's good to keep the Lion King film alive, basically, in its own way, but will I see it one day? Maybe. But even though I haven't seen it, I can still honestly say that it won't hold a candle to my heart like it did with the animated series. That's all I can say. But will I see it one day? Maybe. I don't know. In terms of the sequel, The Lion King, Simba's Pride, I've only ever seen that twice. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. However, I will say that I did not love that film as much as I did with the first film. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with it, but I just wasn't really into it like I was with the first movie. I mean, it was good that they carried the film on in some sort of aspect, but I don't know. The first movie will always be the best one. I like the first one's the best. And like I said, it had the full package from the great voice acting, from the songs, the story, the plot. Absolutely everything. It had everything. And that's what made these Disney films, not just The Lion King, but other films like Cinderella, The Great Mouse Detective, Pinocchio, what others? lists are endless, of all these great Disney films, including The Lion King. You know what I mean? Some fantastic Disney movies that were made in that era of the 90s. That's the Disney films I love the most. But again, Lion King, I think we've all seen it by now. You know, if not, you're missing a huge classic. So I really suggest you check out The Lion King. But I agree with everybody when I say it's definitely got to be in the top 10 best Disney films ever made. And like I say, I really must get it on 4K Ultra or maybe just on Blu-ray. Just to keep my memories alive of the great times when Disney was around. Being really, childhood effective. You know what I mean? So please like, rate, and comments, everybody. If you've got any questions or anything you want to say, just simply email me. I've enjoyed doing this review. I don't know what comes next, but hopefully I won't have to keep you waiting too long. All right, but thanks for watching this, everybody, and have a nice day. That's my review for The Lion King. Peace out.